Apple has a new feature, enhanced visual search. They released it on iOS 18 and macOS 15 without your consent. So as soon as you updated, this feature was enabled on. And because it's enabled on, you had no way to stop it. The purpose of the feature was to help you search for landmarks in your photos. So you went out with your friends to New York City? Well, you want to look up those Statue of Liberty pics by name. You can type them in and those photos will come up. But what Apple did was they turned this on without your consent and they scanned all the photos in your phone for particular regions that might be landmarks. And they took off these regions of interest and they sent it off to Apple. So this was originally discovered by Jeff Johnson of LabCat Software. He notes there's different screens inside of his Mac and iPhone that show, oh, hey, now these features are enabled. And what Jeff discovered was Apple never even did so much as a blog post about it. There was only 2 places where this feature was mentioned on Apple's website. The first was a legal notice in Photos and Privacy, which says your device privately matches places in your photos to a global index Apple maintains on our servers. We apply homomorphic encryption and differential privacies, and we hide your IP address, blah, blah, blah. The second was a machine learning paper called Combining Machine Learning and Homomorphic Encryption in the Apple ecosystem. There it is. There's their photos and privacy notice. And then this is their combining machine learning paper. And if you scroll down through this, it does its best to explain what exactly they're doing. For instance, Apple is doing this for phone calls, incoming phone calls. If you want to find the logo associated with that, they encrypt this data through homomorphic encryption, and they're able to find the relevant picture associated with it. Or they use it for images in your email inbox, or they use it to look up to see if web content should be restricted. So these are all different reasons to use this private information retrieval. And in this landmarks case, because the photos on your phone, they're not going to exactly look like Apple's version of the Statue of Liberty. So they use something called Privacy Nearest Neighbor Search to find photos that look very similar. Now, there's a few gaping problems with Apple's approach to this. One is obvious. None of the source code used in these mechanisms is open source or auditable. So they can tell us all these things about homomorphic encryption and cryptography stuff that only a handful of the people in the world would understand, but no one's going to be able to audit it. No one could give their thoughts on the cryptography or the process. And there's also no dedicated information about and how enhanced visual service works. What metadata is it actually collecting about your photos? It's up in the air. And what is stored in their global index? And why on earth did Apple never warn anyone about what they're doing? There's not so much as a notification. They just turned it on. That is not a company that cares about your privacy. So why did they do this? It's my hunch that Apple is working on a surveillance tool. It's a surveillance database that if you give it an image posted anywhere, Apple can go and compare it with their index of landmarks and figure out where in the world you were. Now, this is really similar to ChatGPT's new O3 reasoning model, which can do things like geoguessing, which if you know about geoguessing, you give it a picture and it tells you where in the world you might be. So it's pretty interesting to see the O3 AI model go about it, because it'll break apart parts of your photo, zoom into the skyline, zoom into the buildings, and use that to search the web, cross-reference it, and to give you a better idea of your location. If you ever watch that show, CSI, where they go into like the blurry surveillance footage and they're like,
enhance the reflection in her eye,
and they get like super up close and they find this crazy detail that uncovers the whole case. This is not new for Apple. They've been doing this in previous years. We know we discovered a secret Wi-Fi positioning database in 2024 that had the location of all of the Wi-Fi networks on Earth. The scary part is Apple makes you the instrument of their surveillance. Simply by opting in to using big tech tools, you are now part of the problem. You are now part of the surveillance. You're now helping spying on others. I looked at this quote from Steve Jobs back in 2010, where he talks about privacy as in the perspective of Apple.
Privacy means people know what they're signing up for in plain English and repeatedly. That's what it means. I'm an optimist. I believe people are smart, and some people want to share more data than other people do. Ask them. Ask them every time. Make them tell you to stop asking them if they get tired of you asking them. Let them know precisely what you're going to do with their data.
And we can't count on tech companies to protect us. We must take it back into our own hands. We must get rid of our iPhones and Apple devices if we have it and switch to de-Googled or open source operating systems as quickly as we can. That's why we have a company called Above. That's why we offer these privacy phones and laptops, and I invite you to check them out. Please look at the link below if you're interested.